Welcome to episode 7 of The Comic Source. I'm your host, Jace. In the news, Marvel has announced that Origin Part 2, covering the early days of Wolverine, will be released with a double-layer acetate cover. This cover will be drawn by Adam Kubert, who's also handling the interior pencils, and the series is going to be written by Kieran Gillen. Over on the image side of things, The Walking Dead 10th anniversary is quickly approaching, with midnight release parties planned on October 9th. Robert Kirkman has released a few details about the story arc. It's going to be 12 parts, released bi-weekly, and he says expect a lot of deaths. There's also going to be 10 variant covers that fit together for an interlocking cover, along with the regular cover and the special midnight release cover. Now on to my reviews for this episode. First, I'm going to be talking about Justice League 7.1, which is the Deadshot special issue. This issue was written by Matt Kindt, and the awesome 3D cover is done by Tony Daniel. The interior arts are handled by Sami Basri and Carmen Camaro. The issue starts out, we see Deadshot. He's on a plane 3,000 miles above Gotham, talking about a hit he's about to undertake. He dives out of the plane, looks like a bullet himself being fired from a gun, and then we get a flashback. Now, the pre-New 52 Deadshot accidentally killed his brother trying to protect his little brother from their abusive father. So it was a pretty tragic origin. This New 52 Deadshot is no different, also a very tragic origin. We see that his parents had a rundown apartment in the Narrows where Deadshot and his younger sister also lived. Now, his father worked in construction and hadn't been able to find work for a while. So as the flashback starts, he's talking to Deadshot's mother. He's saying that he's found a construction job, he's getting paid up front, and by this time next week they should be able to move out of the Narrows. Now, right next door, in the next apartment, the neighbors have ripped off a drug dealer. They've stolen money from him, and we see that there's 2 hitmen about to take them out. So the hitmen burst through the door. They fire something like 48 bullets at these 2 guys who have this stolen drug money. And as you can imagine, the walls are very thin in these cheap apartments, and the bullets travel through the wall. They kill Deadshot's father, Deadshot's mother, and Deadshot's sister. Deadshot himself would have been hit, except he was reading a thick book, and the bullets that would have hurt him were stopped by the book. So hearing the noise, seeing his sister, his father, and mother shot, he runs out of the front of the apartment building. He sees the 2 killers as they speed away. He says he'll remember their faces always. He goes back to the neighbor's apartment. He finds a gun that was left there. He leaves his apartment. He takes it upon himself to train. We flash forward a few years. Deadshot has tracked down 2 men who killed his family, and he managed to take them out with a single bullet. He then goes on to work for the man who actually hired those killers and makes a name for himself as Deadshot. And back to him falling through the sky. We see that he's made some special bullets to take out a supervillain wearing some armor. It turns out that that supervillain was the very man who hired him in the first place and set him on the path to become Deadshot. He's finally exacting his revenge for that person hiring the killers who were ultimately responsible for his parents' death. Once he takes out that target, he gets a call from Amanda Waller. She tells him how the crime syndicate has broken into Belle Reve prison and freed all the prisoners, and it's time to get the Suicide Squad together. Deadshot thinks, why should I care? Amanda Waller wires him $20 million. Now Deadshot cares. We're going to see the Suicide Squad get back together. I really enjoyed this issue. I've always been a fan of Deadshot. He's not just so much a two-dimensional character, you know. He has kind of a twisted sense of honor. And there's just little things that writers have done throughout his history that have made him interesting. This story is no different. I really enjoyed it. I thought Matt Kindt did a great job, and the art was pretty solid too. The next book I'm going to talk about is Infinity #2, which came out Wednesday, September the 4th from Marvel. This book was written by Jonathan Hickman, and there's a duo on pencils. Jerome Apena handles the pencils when the setting is out in space, while Dustin Weaver handles them back on Earth. Now, if there's one word I could use to describe the whole Infinity series so far, it's big. Hickman's being very ambitious. He's pretty much involving the whole Marvel universe, and It's really an epic, epic story. Now, at the end of the last issue, Thanos had learned that Black Bolt from the Inhumans knows or is aware or is in possession of where the final existing Infinity Gem is. He also learned that the Avengers are not on Earth. So he feels it's a perfect time to strike. He sends in his forces. Meanwhile, the Avengers are out in deep space fighting against the builders of the universe, and they've pretty much gotten their asses kicked. So they retreat to the predetermined fallback position and meet up with Gladiator of the Shi'ar, and come to find out they've been followed by the builders' fleet. Gladiator's tired of running. He says they're going to make their stand here, and the heroes of the universe finally achieve their first victory over the builders. However, it doesn't come without cost. Many of the Shi'ar ships are damaged, and the builders take it upon themselves to unleash death. One of the gardeners has gone to the planet below and basically done the exact opposite of what he was created for. Rather than create life or be a symbol for life, somehow uses his powers to become death and decay, and it spreads out from him as he dies, and it eventually envelops the whole world. We do not know exactly what the further ramifications of this will be, but what we do know is this garden world is gone forever. Meanwhile, Corvus Glaive, one of Thanos' generals, has gone to meet with Black Bolt of the Inhumans, and he demands a tribute for Thanos, which is the head of every Inhuman between the ages of 16 and 22. Black Bolt listens without comment, and Glaive leaves. Black Bolt retreats. He summons the other members of the Illuminati. He says, take this Infinity Gem and hide it. He tells them about Thanos' demand, but knows that it's just a ploy. The Infinity Gem is what Thanos is really after, and asking for the heads of these young Inhumans is just a distraction. Now, while the art in this issue wasn't spectacular, it wasn't horrible either. At the end of the day, I'd just say it's a little forgettable. The story and Hickman's characterization and the scope of his epic story is really where the strength of this book lies. Issue 3 of Infinity is due out September 18th. Now, the final book I'm going to talk about today is Quantum and Woody #3 from Valiant Comics, written by James Osmus, and art is done by Tom Fowler. This book is just a riot. The banter between the Quantum and Woody, who are actually adopted brothers, is just hilarious. I can't say enough about how funny and just fun this book is. It's entertaining, there's action, but there's a lot of humor. James Osmus, like I said, with the banter between the two brothers is just at his best. The art by Tom Fowler, it's not my favorite art, but it does suit the book well. He does have a pretty kinetic style, and he does a great job with the comedic expressions. The actual story itself, now Quantum and Woody's father has been killed. They're searching for the true killers. The police suspect that Quantum and Woody have something to do with it, so in a way they're out to clear their names. In the first issue they went to his lab to try to find out what happened, and there was an explosion, and that's how they gained these powers. So as issue 3 starts, they're wanted by the police, and they're not sure what to do next. So they go to their father's house, and they're looking for some clues, and they find a few, but they don't really have all the answers they need. So Woody actually has a good idea. They say, let's go ask Dad's boss. Find out who his enemies were. If anybody would know, it'd probably be him. Unbeknownst to our heroes, agents of ERA, the shadowy, mysterious organization who are the antagonists of the book, have already dispatched a couple henchmen to talk to the boss, trying to get their hands on this research. So Quantum and Woody show up, a fight ensues, Quantum and Woody end up having to flee. Quantum's pretty much had it with Woody at this point. He's just done. He goes off on his own. He says he'll solve this mystery without the help of his adopted brother, and they go their separate ways. So Quantum gets a lead. He actually heads to the island, which is the headquarters of the ERA organization. Woody's captured, and he's also taken to the island. So the issue ends. Quantum's there on the island, lurking around, ready to solve the mystery. Woody's actually in the hands of the bad guys, about to be dissected so they can figure out how the quantum power works. And issue 4 comes out October 2nd. So definitely look forward to that. The rumor is the GOAT will finally be making its first appearance of the series. So I certainly recommend it. It's a very entertaining series so far, and it's just a lot of fun. So my ratings on these issues, I give Justice League 7.1 a 7 out of 10 stars. I definitely recommend it if you are a fan of Deadshot, but I feel like the 3D covers on these Villain Month books are so awesome that they're worth the price of the book all on their own. Infinity #2 gets 6 stars for me. It wasn't as strong as the first issue, and I feel more like it's just a bridge from all the information that we got in the first issue and all the action that is supposedly coming up later in the series. I'm going to give Quantum and Woody #3 8 out of 10 stars. Like I said, it's just a really fun and entertaining book. Do yourself a favor and pick it up. Well, once again, I want to thank everybody for watching. Join me next time when I talk about the DC Villain Month book of Batman Riddler. I'll cover Eternal Warrior #1 by Valiant Comics, and I'll also discuss Mighty Avengers #1 from Marvel. I'll see you then.